What's up YouTube, CJ here. I am back. So I just wanted to make a quick video today talking about where I've been and kind of the state of sorcery. So we'll just hop on into it. Since 2025 started, I have been very busy. It was my birthday, my wife's birthday, my dad's birthday, both my dog's birthdays. We traveled out of the state a few times. We traveled out of the country once. And I've been picking up extra shifts at the hospital. So really just not a lot of time for hobbies. And then when we have had times for hobbies, I've just been playing less sorcery because I've just been enjoying the meta a lot less than I used to. To be fair, I will say, Archimago is the reason. And I know that my personal meta is not everyone else's personal meta. I think Ira quoted in the league Discord that Archimago only makes up like 9% of games. But the people I play with are like Kevin, the champion of Season 4, Moth, the champion of Season 5, Bruce, who top 8s every kind of paper tournament he plays in. Good job, guys. We play with Kyle, who is a Season 6 champion. We play with basically all the guys on the Sorcerer Summit who are very good at this game and very competitively focused. And when Archimago is making up so much of the top 8s of all these tournaments, we're of course kind of obsessed with that card, right? We're either trying to build the perfect Archimago deck, or we're trying to build a deck that beats Archimago. So for me personally, my personal meta is like 50% Archimago. And it just got really old really fast. And what I mean by it's doing so well, it won the Sorcerers of the Core, the biggest European tournament, and it was actually a mirror match, right? Archimago versus Archimago in the finals. In the League of Champions, it was 134 people played in. It was 3 out of the 4 top 8, 2 out of 2 top 2. Sorry, 3 out of the 4 top 4, 2 out of 2 for top 2. So it was Archimago, Archimago, Archimago. In our Season 1 of the Sorcerer Summit, it won. Most recently we banned Archimago, so it wasn't a factor. And then we decided, let's point Archimago, right? We'll put it so you can only fit 1 Divine Healing, 0 Ring of Morgans, but you can play your Common Senses, right? We'll point it so it's harder to play all the good cards in it, see how it does. And if you discount me, who was frustrated and bad, it was a 100% win rate. Bruce and Moth both went 4-0. I did poorly, but basically, Archimago wasn't really handicapped by making it so you couldn't play the Ring of Morgan or even more than 1 Divine Healing. It was still very powerful. So personally, I just got kind of tired of it. My biggest issue with Archimago isn't that it's broken, isn't it that it's unbeatable. It is beatable. And I would argue that your win rate is probably closer to 60% when you're playing with players who know what they're doing. But it's that it's uninteractive. Its main game plan is to play magic spells from the hand, of which we only have 1 card in the game that takes magic spells out of the hand, other than like random discard, and that is going to be your Feast for Crows. And there is 1 other card in the game that takes magic spells out of the cemetery, and that is Funeral Pyre. Other than that, all cemetery interaction is for minions, not for magics, and so you're not turning off their game plan. You can still win, right? Corzin Theus, to take your opponent's turn to force them to craterize themselves, is going to be very powerful. Sorry, gotta make sure you keep throwing sticks for these dogs. Corzin Theus, to make them craterize themselves, is probably going to win you the game. Smokestacks to turn off the defensive sites means that aggro actually has a chance to win that game. Sinkholes to interact with their sites, just mess up their threshold. You can win that way. I know that they're just powerful plays you can play in basically any deck. A turn 2 Pudge Butcher is going to win, right? Like a turn 1 Windmill, Onyx Core, turn 2 Tower, Pudge Butcher. Yeah, you're probably beating Archimago that way. You can beat it. It's more just that you can't interact with its game plan. And what I mean by interact with its game plan is other decks have ways to be kind of shut off, right? You can be like, okay, Death Speaker's really good right now. Let me make sure I'm running Gnome Hollow, Scarecrow, Root Spider to make sure that if they have Nimbus Djinn, they just can't use it against me. Even a Silence Effect would stop that. Bower of Bliss turns off their card draw. There are ways to interact with that game plan in order to prevent them from being a terrible matchup for you. Archimago has 4 cards total, including the 3 of the Funeral Pyre. So basically you're forced into red if you want to have good game into it. I do think that the Steam Druid, that water fire druid that you see going around right now, probably has the best chance against Archimago, and I'd still put it close to 50-50, but I'd rather be on the Archimago end of that, because if they're not drawing more than 1 Funeral Pyre and the smokestacks, I think they're losing that game, personally. Unless they get like a hot draw, like turn 2 Minion, turn 3 Plague of Frogs, turn 4 Ruler of Thule. Okay, fine, yeah, he'd probably win that game too. So yeah, it's just been less interesting to me. And what I mean by interactive cards, I want to have things like an artifact that says if a spellcaster casts a magic spell, they take 2 damage. So if Archimago wants to get rid of it, 2 damage for Common Sense, 2 damage for Dispel. Sure, they got rid of my card in 1 turn, but they took 4 damage and they spent their turn getting rid of my artifact, not my minions. I want to see a overcosted minion that can't be moved or damaged by magic spells, right? So like a Thrun the Last Troll. 6 mana, 4 power, it can't be moved or damaged by magic spells. It's not very good in the mirror match, right? If you're playing a minion deck versus a minion deck, you play your 6 mana 4/4, they play their 3 mana 4/4. But it's not a dead card in the mirror match. You've still got a 4/4 minion on the board, and they can't bury it, right? So, okay, it's not that bad. Even I can Earthquake my own minion, not move it, and take out their minions, and then get in for damage. So, it's a playable card in any matchup, but it gives you game against Archimago, and it's not just like a one-sided, I hope they don't have another board wipe, right? I want more ways to get rid of magic out of the cemetery that's not red, because I don't want to feel pigeonholed into fire to deal with Archimago. I want to see my water air deck shine again. I want to bring that to a tournament and not be like, well, I auto lose against Archimago, but I've got a chance if it's not there, which it will be, because why wouldn't you bring Archimago? And that's the other thing. As far as the most competitive players are concerned, every other deck has a bad matchup. Archimago's worst matchup might be a 45% win rate, but realistically it's 50% or better unless you're in the mirror match. So other Archimagos can actually be really hard to win against, and that's really the only predator that they have in the meta right now. So as far as that goes, I just got kind of bored and I stopped playing Sorcery for a while, but I'm back. We're banning it in the Sorcerer Summit. I've been playing games in the last week or so. I've been having a lot of fun, and I've got a spicy new brew that I may or may not talk about on the channel that I think is going to be really fun to play. It may or may not be good, but we'll see. So I am going to be back. I will be making videos, and I'm not letting anything get to me. I'm having a good time. I think Sorcery is in a good place. As far as everything else goes, oh man, am I excited. I think Dragon Lord's incredible. I am so excited for this set. We just found out that it's going to be released at Gen Con. It is going to be 1 purchase, get all 13 cards. Sounds like they're all going to be unique. I know people are hung up on functionally unique, but the avatar doesn't say the word unique in it, but it is functionally unique. So I think that's where it comes from, right? All the cards are going to be unique. The avatar is not a true unique because it doesn't say it, but sort of like how Pathfinder is in the unique slot. This is a functionally unique card, right? So all the cards are going to be dragon related. We already know that there's a site. We already know that there's an artifact. So we're not going to get 13 new dragons. We already have, I think, 8 dragons, including the caravan. Fine, 7 dragons. And so I think we'll probably end up somewhere around 16, 15 dragons. And so that doesn't sound enough to make like a tribal dragon every turn deck. But I do think that a dragon control deck can work. If you think about how Ancient Dragon works, which is a removal spell on a dragon, right? It's a tap, deal 4 damage to adjacent or nearby like site, basically, or minions on top of that site. If you use that as your ability on your dragon, it's elite, so you can't. But if you use something like that, then you can turn your deck into a control deck where you've got 15 or 16 dragons in the late game, and you're using removal spells to get you there, some ramp spells like Cores, some draw spells, and then just kind of like the good cards, right? You're running Ring of Morrigan, you're running Morgana Le Fay because you're probably in triple fire, you're running Earthquakes, just kind of like a control deck that finishes the game with dragons. I call that creature control. My Shapeshifter deck is kind of what I would call a creature control deck. It runs 22 minions that are 4 mana or greater. So all of my spells in the early game are just removal. I use Prison Sites to stay alive, healing like Angel's Egg, and then just I win the game with creatures. I call that creature control. That's what I'm predicting for Dragon Lord, and I'm really excited to get that deck built. As far as Gothic goes, I am so excited. We've got the Undead Lord as one of our spoilers. I love Scourge Zombie. It was one of my early pet cards from Alpha Beta. So the fact that we have a Lord that's going to give +1/+1 to all your undead minions is just incredible. It's going to be so much fun. It's going to be very interesting, and I hope it's kind of good. Hold on one second, we got to throw another stick with Sunny. One of my first in-paper games was actually at the February Courtesan Cup qualifier in 2024. And I was sitting at the table, no idea what I was doing. We were doing a sealed match for our first games. And I remember Angerworm and Jams from Discord, James Boo, actually helped me build my deck. And it was mostly like 3 or 4 copies of Border Militia, 2 copies of Scourge Zombies, and then like Leap Attack and 2 Flaming Swords. So that was like my entire game plan. It was so much fun. I loved it, and it became an instant pet card of mine. And the fact that we're getting an Undead Lord, and Undead might be playable, we'll see. It depends on what the other cards from Gothic are. I'm pretty excited about that. I think the swap is a game changer. I think that it is everything that Sorcery wants to be. It is play to the board, movement. It is good for mid-range decks. It is a way to deal with artifacts that have been pesky. I could not be more excited for this card. Everyone's worried that it's going to ruin Ring of Morrigan. Honestly, I think it'll be fine. Yes, it helps us deal with Ring of Morgan. No, I'm not going to cut that card from my deck. It just means that you have to be like willing to lose your Ring of Morgan and willing to deal with your own ring when you play it. So you really want to play it for value, right? If I'm playing Ring of Morgan, I'm going to try to play Ring of Morgan, cast a Lightning Bolt, ping your Dapper Vampire, hit your Dapper Vampire for 3, remove it, and then gain a life. That's pretty good value. And if you swap my Ring of Morgan at that point, okay, yeah, but I use it as a kill spell. I'm pretty happy. You also have to understand that unlike Dispel and Disenchant, swap is not going to be dead when they don't have a ring out, right? Let's say I've got my Plume Pegasus on my Bottomless Pit, and you've got Sir Ironside, and that thing's a 7 power blocker, and it's just like stopping all my aggression. Well, I can swap your Sir Ironside onto my Bottomless Pit, kill it because it lands on Bottomless Pit, move my Plume Pegasus up, and then start dealing damage again. So yeah, if you have Ring of Morgan in hand, maybe don't cast it right away. They're probably going to use it when they've got value. It is a card in hand, and you'd rather not just sit on it. You want to use it when you can use it. So I don't think this is the end of artifacts, but I do think this is a huge boost from mid-range because it is so powerful. It is so good. And obviously the ceiling is just play Great Old One and swap it with the Ring of Morgan, steal the Ring of Morgan, hit him for 16. That's the dream. So yes, swap is going to be perfect. I'm so happy. To me, that's everything I want in a sorcery card. And double blue means we're going to see more water. Pretty excited. Divine Judgment, a little less powerful. It's a 7 mana card that deals 7 in one spot and 3 around it in a cross. It is basically a major explosion, but it has the added text of Destroy Evil. We don't know what evil means, so I can't really speculate on it. I'd say if Destroy Evil is a meaningful mechanic, it's a better version of Major Explosion, which is a very playable card. And if it's a weak mechanic, then it is a worse version of Major Explosion, and I wouldn't play it. But it's a Judge promo. You place a cross on the board. Shout out to Bruce, who had the Holy Hand Grenade for the design contest that had the cross on the board for a board wipe, so very cool. So yeah, I think this is very cool. I think it's a chef's kiss as far as flavor goes. I think I'm very excited that these are the kind of cards that we're seeing because they feel very sorcery to me. They're very cool. And then last we have the Cursed Iron one. That's the aura that pings you for the number of artifacts you're holding. It's powerful against control, which is good. We want to see ways to beat control, although control is not overly powerful outside of Archimago right now. But I'm excited. And then if in a future set we get some sort of steampunky theme that has Artifact Matters cards, then this will be great, right? It'll be very powerful, but we're just not there yet. So I think of the cards so far, maybe the Divine Judgment or Steamed Cursed Iron are the least playable cards, but they both have applications that I'm not really aware of right now, so they could be great. So yeah, overall, I'm really excited for Gothic. And then last but not least, we've got Organized Play, which I'm very excited for. I bought my tickets for Gen Con. You will see me there. I might try to slap together a Dragon list by then, although I don't even know it's going to be in the Dragon Lord set. But yeah, we'll see if I can make that work. But yeah, Organized Play is going to be amazing. I can't wait for the Crossroad events. I can't wait for the Cornerstones in my local LGS. Shout out to Mark from No Land Beyond. And then I'm going to make sure I make it to the Avatar of the Realm event, wherever that is, like the World Tournament. I got to go. I got to be there. So I think Eris Kuros is doing a great job. I'm really excited. I do not think that this game is dead. I did not quit the game. I will be back. I will be making videos, maybe not as often as I used to just because I've been very busy. But yeah, let me know what you guys think. Are you happy with the state of the realm right now? Are you happy with Archimago? Am I crazy for playing less because the game is in the best place it could possibly be? I don't know. You let me know. The one thing I do want to say, though, is my biggest hope right now is that we get advertisements with Gothic. I think I've wanted ads for a long time, but I think they would have fallen a little flat if we had ads for this really cool game, but we didn't have access to beta. We didn't have access to precons, right? What's our entry point? So my biggest hope is that Gothic is big. Gothic is great. Gothic is a set that can kind of support itself, as in you buy some cards with Gothic, you buy a box of Gothic, you start building decks, and you just have to buy a few singles from Alpha, Beta, and Arthurian Legends in order to build a relatively decent deck. And I'm really excited for the precons, but if we get ads with all of this availability of product and all these entry points in these precons, I really think that the sorcery population can like grow. I think our player base can like double from one set, and that's what I'm most excited for. So Eris Curiosa, if you're watching, please, amazing ads with Gothic. I want these precons to be stellar. So from me to you, that's my biggest ask. Let me know what you guys are hoping for with Gothic in the comments. Like and subscribe if you haven't already. Let me know if you guys hate me doing these things outside. I know it can be a little bit shaky and wobbly, and it's different colors and lighting, and probably the editing is choppy, but these puppies love being outside. I love being outside with them. It's going to keep me in a good mood. It's going to make my content happier. So yeah, let me know what you guys think. All right, cheers. Good luck in testing the realm.